What's up, 8th grade? Catlin here with your help for lesson 8 on your cool down for this week. This one's wordy. I can see how it might get a little bit confusing, but let's look into it here, all right? So we've been looking at these linear functions. We got our independent, dependent variables, all right? The minutes of sunlight that show during the day is depending on how many days has passed the equinox, spring and fall. So your spring equinox and your fall equinox, as the days past those particular things, the minutes of daylight either extend or they get shorter. All right. Now in France, which is in the northern hemisphere, we also live in the northern hemisphere. So we're going to see very similar type of changes, but they gain 2 minutes of daylight every day after the spring equinox. So in March, usually somewhere in March, we'll hit our equinox. And at that point, days are going to start to get longer. You guys notice this. You've probably seen it happen before. Days in the spring, March, April, May, June, July, and then into the summer, those are when the days are longer. And then there's a certain point in the autumn where we hit another equinox where the days start to shrink and we start to lose minutes of daylights, usually around sometime in September, and the days are shorter. Right now in the winter, dead of winter right now, the days are starting to kind of come back, but not at this kind of rate of 2 minutes of daylight per day. So let's look and see what the questions are asking. We got some graphs here that represent this. Which of the graphs is most likely to represent the graph of daylight for the month after the spring equinox? So, after the equinox in the spring, we are expecting the minutes of sunlight to get longer days in the spring and in the summer months. So, which one of these shows that? And a lot of you might say, well, C and D are the same thing. How do I choose between those? Because as the days go past the equinox, I'm getting longer days. This is increasing, right? Well, you got to think logically here, and one of them doesn't make any sense, okay? And the one that doesn't make any sense is this one because it claims that there's some days on the equinox that we don't have any sunlight at all. All right. We're not on the South Pole or anything like that, where maybe there's a full day of no sun, and even some of those days down there uh, don't show that past the equinox. So that's not going to happen in France. Okay, we don't have days in France where there's no sunlight. There might be cloudy days, but there's not any where there's none. So this one doesn't make any sense, which makes number one, we're increasing in sunlight as the days past the spring equinox. Days are getting longer. So that match graph D. Let's move on to the next one. Which of the graphs is most likely to represent the graph of daylight for the month after the autumnal? I'm not sure if I said that right. Who knows? Equinox. Well, in autumn, the days get shorter starting in September. So we expect as the days pass for us to lose sunlight. We started with a lot, and then now we're going to start to lose some. So that matches with B, right? And then if you look at number three, why are the other graphs not likely to represent either month? Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and talk about why we didn't pick C, is because it's claiming a day with no sunlight, with no sunlight, and that's not happening in France, not in that part of the world. And then A, what's the issue with A? Okay, let's go to A. The problem why we're not picking A is because there's no change. If you live in the northern hemisphere and you're not on the equator, then you're going to see changes in how long the days are because of the tilt of the Earth on its axis. So this right here doesn't make sense because the minutes of sunlight in the days are constantly changing in the days past. And this one suggests no change. So the problem with A is that it suggests no change in day length. And there we go. A little bit of science mixed in with and geography mixed in with our math for our cool down today. But those are your answers. That's why we didn't pick A and C, and D and B are your respective answers in that order. All right, y'all have a good one, and we'll see you in class tomorrow. Don't forget, finish this homework and be ready for your quiz this upcoming Friday. Later, guys.